Divorce isn't just the end of a marriage, it's the unraveling of a life. It's the moment when everything you thought was certain suddenly feels fragile, and the foundation you built your world on starts to crack. The dreams you once shared, the plans you made for the future, and the family you worked so hard to nurture, all of it can feel like it's slipping through your fingers. A future and a family. The memories that once brought comfort now sting with loss, and the home that was filled with laughter can suddenly feel empty and cold. For many men, entering the legal system feels like stepping into a fight already lost. The courthouse doors can seem more like barriers than gateways to justice, and the process itself can feel overwhelming and isolating. You hear stories, see the statistics, and wonder if the deck is stacked against you. Headlines and online forums are filled with tales of fathers losing custody, struggling to stay afloat financially, and feeling powerless in the face of a system they barely understand. The fear of losing your children and the anxiety of financial ruin aren't just worries, they're realities for countless fathers. The thought of missing birthdays, school plays, or even simple bedtime stories can be devastating. And the pressure of mounting legal fees, child support, and the cost of starting over can feel insurmountable. You've been a dedicated parent, yet suddenly you're forced to prove your worth in a system that seems to see you as just a paycheck. The love, time, and effort you've poured into your children's lives can feel invisible, overshadowed by paperwork and legal arguments. This isn't about blaming judges or starting a gender war. It's about recognizing the real pain and frustration that so many fathers experience, and acknowledging that the system isn't perfect for anyone. It's about understanding why so many men feel the system is unfair, and shining a light on the facts and stereotypes that fuel this imbalance. We need to talk openly about the assumptions that shape custody decisions, and the ways outdated beliefs can still influence outcomes. We'll dig into child custody, financial pressures, and real stories of fathers who feel the system failed them. We'll also hear from those who found hope and fairness, and explore what made the difference in their cases. The goal isn't to pick sides, but to push for a system that truly puts children first and treats both parents equitably. Because when the process is fair, everyone benefits, especially the kids who need both parents in their lives. Because fairness means decisions based on what's best for the kids, not on outdated assumptions. It means recognizing the value of both parents and making sure every child has the chance to grow up surrounded by love and support. Let's get to the bottom of what's really happening in family courts today. Let's challenge the myths, confront the realities, and work toward a future where no parent feels like the odds are stacked against them from the start. This is a conversation that's long overdue. It's time to listen, to learn, and to demand a system that serves families with compassion, understanding, and true justice. In theory, family court is supposed to be fair. Judges weigh evidence and decide what's best for the child. But the reality often tells a different story. Mothers are awarded custody in about 80% of cases, and fathers are far more likely to pay child support. These numbers don't always mean bias, but they reveal persistent expectations. Men as providers, women as caregivers. Many fathers walk in hoping for shared parenting, but leave with limited time and heavy financial obligations. The system claims to value both parents, but the outcomes often suggest otherwise. The roots of today's imbalance in family court decisions can be traced back to the tender years doctrine, a legal principle that shaped custody battles for generations. This doctrine presumed that young children were best cared for by their mothers, reinforcing the idea that nurturing was a mother's natural role, while fathers were seen as providers. Even though the doctrine has been officially abolished, its influence lingers in the minds of judges, lawyers, and even the public. Today, the laws on the books are written to be gender neutral, but the reality inside courtrooms often tells a different story. Deep-seated cultural conditioning is not easily erased by a change in legislation. Subtle biases persist. Many still see a mother's home as inherently more nurturing, a place where children naturally belong. Meanwhile, a father's work schedule is often scrutinized, with assumptions made about his availability and commitment to parenting. Fathers are frequently required to prove, sometimes over and over, that they are just as capable and loving as mothers when it comes to raising their children. In contrast, mothers are often assumed to be the default parent, with their abilities rarely questioned or put under the same microscope. This double standard is not only exhausting for fathers, but it's also deeply unfair. It places an emotional and psychological burden on dads who want to be present and involved. The burden of proof falls disproportionately on fathers, who must document and demonstrate every aspect of their parenting, from daily routines to emotional support. Until we confront these outdated stereotypes head-on, fathers will continue to face an uphill battle in courtrooms across the country, fighting for the right to be equal parents. The law may have changed on paper, but the mindset of those interpreting it hasn't always caught up. True equality in family courts means starting every case on a level playing field, where both parents are seen as equally important. Fathers are not visitors in their children's lives. They are essential, loving, and irreplaceable parents. It's time for the system to recognize this truth and ensure that every parent, regardless of gender, is given a fair chance to be there for their children. Take Mark, a hands-on dad who shared parenting equally. When his marriage ended, he expected a fair custody split. In court, the narrative shifted. His ex was painted as the primary caregiver, his involvement minimized. Despite evidence, the judge awarded primary custody to his ex-wife, citing stability. Mark went from daily parenting to weekend visits. His story isn't unique. Many fathers find themselves sidelined, their roles reduced. These decisions hurt not just fathers, but children who lose daily contact with a loving parent. The system's default assumptions rob kids of balanced relationships. Mark's fight is a reminder. The battle for equal parenting is far from over. Courts must see fathers as more than visitors. Kids need both parents every day. Money is another battleground where men often feel the system is stacked against them. For many, the financial aftermath of divorce can be just as painful and confusing as the emotional toll. The process is filled with uncertainty, and the stakes are high, not just for the individuals involved, but for their families as well. Alimony laws were built for a time when men were sole breadwinners, but today, both partners usually work. Despite this shift, the legal system often lags behind, clinging to outdated assumptions about gender roles and financial dependency. This disconnect leaves many men feeling like the odds are stacked against them from the very start. Yet men are still often expected to pay substantial alimony, even to ex-wives who can support themselves. In some cases, these payments can last for years, or even decades, regardless of changes in either party's financial situation. This can create a sense of frustration and helplessness, especially when both partners are capable of earning a living. The division of assets can feel one-sided, with men losing homes and taking on long-term financial obligations. Many men find themselves starting over from scratch, forced to rebuild their lives while still carrying the weight of financial commitments made during the marriage. The emotional impact of losing a family home or cherished possessions can be just as significant as the financial loss. This strain can make it harder for fathers to stay involved in their children's lives, sometimes even used against them in custody disputes. When financial burdens pile up, it can limit a father's ability to provide for his children or maintain a stable home, which in turn can be unfairly interpreted as a lack of commitment or capability. As attorney Jed Abraham puts it, men are often treated as the family's ATM, even after divorce. The expectation that men will simply keep paying, regardless of their own needs or circumstances, is deeply ingrained in the system. This can leave men feeling dehumanized and undervalued, reduced to little more than a source of income. Nearly 60% of divorced men feel the financial outcome was unfair. This sense of injustice isn't just about money. It's about dignity, respect, and the right to move forward with their lives on equal footing. This isn't about shirking responsibility. It's about demanding equity. Men want to support their children and fulfill their obligations, but they also want a system that recognizes their contributions and treats them fairly. The system should reflect modern realities, not outdated roles. With more dual-income households and shifting family dynamics, It's time for the law to catch up and ensure that both parents are treated as equals, both financially and as caregivers. Financial fairness is essential for both parents to remain active in their children's lives. When both parents are supported, children benefit from stability, love, and involvement from both sides. When the system fails here, everyone loses. Children miss out on meaningful relationships, and parents are left struggling to rebuild. It's time for divorce courts to catch up with the times. Reform is needed to ensure that fairness and equality are at the heart of every decision. Fairness shouldn't be a privilege. It should be the standard for every family, every parent, and every child. This isn't just an American problem. Fathers face similar struggles worldwide. In the UK, even primary caregiving dads can lose custody to higher-earning mothers. In Japan, sole custody almost always goes to mothers, often cutting fathers out entirely. Across Europe, shared parenting laws exist, but old biases persist in practice. The global pattern is clear. Legal systems are slow to adapt to modern fatherhood. The fight for fairness is universal. If the laws are gender-neutral, why do biased outcomes persist? Old stereotypes about mothers as nurturers and fathers as providers still shape decisions, often unconsciously. Financial pressures can limit fathers' access to strong legal representation, making it harder to fight for fair outcomes. Parental alienation, when one parent turns a child against the other, hits non-custodial fathers especially hard, and courts are slow to intervene. Overloaded courts and rushed evaluations mean judges often default to familiar patterns. The result, a system that too often fails fathers and, by extension, their children. Despite the challenges, change is happening. More states are adopting shared parenting laws, making equal custody the starting point. Society's view of fatherhood is evolving. Dads are seen as nurturing, essential, and engaged. Pop culture and research now celebrate active fathers. But progress is uneven. Old stereotypes still linger in many courts. The fight for fairness is ongoing, a marathon, not a sprint. Acknowledging progress doesn't mean ignoring those still left behind. Every step forward matters for families and children. The goal: a system where fairness is the rule, not the exception. We're not there yet, but we're moving in the right direction. The goal isn't to favor fathers over mothers, but to build a system that's truly gender-blind and child-focused. Legal reforms, like shared parenting presumptions, are a start, but we also need better training for judges and evaluators to recognize bias. Courts must take parental alienation seriously and make the process more accessible for all. Society must challenge outdated stereotypes and support fathers as equal parents. For dads, staying engaged and documenting involvement is crucial. Ultimately, this is about children's rights, to have meaningful relationships with both parents. When the system fails here, it fails families. Building a fairer process is everyone's responsibility. Divorce shouldn't mean a child loses a parent. Let's work for a future where family court is truly equitable.